Officer James was known around town not just for his dedication to duty, but also for the unbreakable bond he shared with his dog, Max. They were a team in every sense of the word. Together they patrolled the streets, assisted in community events, and were even known to visit schools to teach kids about safety and the importance of teamwork. Max, a golden retriever with a gentle spirit and boundless energy, had been by Officer James's side since he was a puppy. Their friendship began when Officer James decided he wanted a partner who could provide companionship and support during long shifts. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. From the moment they met at the shelter, it was as if they were meant to be together. Max bounded toward James, wagging his tail excitedly, and that day marked the beginning of their incredible journey. They spent countless hours exploring parks, hiking trails, and enjoying sunny days at the beach. Max loved to play fetch, often bringing back sticks that were twice his size. Officer James would laugh as he watched Max struggle to carry his prize while still trying to keep up with him. Their adventures helped build not only a strong relationship, but also trust that would prove invaluable in their work. Max had a remarkable ability to sense emotions. Whenever Officer James faced tough days or stressful situations on the job, Max would curl up by his feet or lay his head on his lap, offering silent comfort. It was this intuitive connection that made them so effective together. They understood each other without words. When Officer James received news of an upcoming surgery that would require him to be away from home for some time, both he and Max felt a sense of unease. As the day of the surgery approached, Officer James couldn't help but worry about how Max would react during his absence. He often sat with Max in their backyard, reflecting on their shared moments and wondering how much his dog understood about what was happening. Every throw of the ball felt more meaningful. Each wag of Max's tail held a deeper emotion, as he sensed something was changing. On the morning of the surgery, Officer James knelt down beside Max before leaving for the hospital. "I'll be back soon, buddy," he said softly, ruffling Max's fur. In that moment, he wished he could explain everything to him, how important this procedure was for his health and their future adventures together. Max cocked his head to one side as if trying to understand. His big brown eyes looked up at Officer James with unwavering loyalty and trust. It was hard to imagine that soon they would be separated for what felt like an eternity. The bond between them was palpable. It filled every corner of their home and echoed through their hearts. As Officer James prepared for surgery, he thought about all the moments they had shared, the laughter at park picnics and quiet evenings watching television together on the couch. Little did he know that this separation would only add more depth to their story and strengthen their friendship in ways he could never have anticipated. As the weeks went by, Officer James's anxiety grew. He had recently been diagnosed with a condition that required surgery. His doctor had explained that he needed a procedure to correct a recurring issue with his knee, which had been causing him pain during long shifts. Although minor compared to some surgeries, this operation would still require several weeks of recovery time. The thought of being away from Max for so long weighed heavily on his heart. Officer James had always been active and devoted to his work, often saying that being out in the community made him feel alive. The idea of missing patrols and not being able to play fetch with Max felt like a heavy burden. As he prepared for the surgery, he tried to keep things light-hearted. "Hey buddy, you'll have to hold down the fort while I'm gone," he joked, patting Max on the head. But inside he was worried about how his absence would affect his beloved companion. On the day before the surgery, Officer James found himself at home pacing back and forth. The house felt quiet, too quiet without Max's playful barks or the sound of paws scampering across the floor. It was then that he realized how much he depended on Max for support, not just as a partner in the field, but as a source of joy and comfort in everyday life. He decided to take one last trip to the park with Max before heading off for the operation. As they arrived at their favorite spot, Officer James felt an overwhelming sense of nostalgia wash over him. The leaves were changing colors, and the sun cast a warm glow on everything around them. Together they walked along the familiar paths where they had shared countless happy moments. Officer James threw a frisbee, and Max dashed after it, his golden fur glistening against the backdrop of fall foliage. Watching his dog's joy, Officer James cherished every moment. After their sunny adventure, Officer James sat on a bench with Max resting beside him. He knew that once they returned home, it would be time to prepare for the operation ahead. With a lump in his throat, he pulled out a photo of them from his wallet, a snapshot taken during one of their first community events. "No matter what happens tomorrow," he whispered to Max, "we're in this together." The next morning was filled with uncertainty. Officer James woke up early, mindful of the brave face he needed to wear. He dressed quickly and gave Max one last belly rub before leaving for the hospital. "Hang tight for me," he said softly, hoping that Max understood his words even if he couldn't explain the situation more clearly. As he walked away from home in uniform one last time before his surgery, Officer James turned back and saw Max sitting by the front window watching him go. A wave of emotion surged through him as he thought about all that lay ahead: the surgery, the recovery process, and most importantly, the reunion that would bring them back together again. He knew their bond would withstand this challenge. It was only a matter of time before they could share new adventures once more. The days after Officer James's surgery felt both long and short. The hospital stay was filled with visits from friends and colleagues, all of whom wished him well. However, his mind often drifted to thoughts of Max. As he recovered, the excitement of returning home became a beacon of hope, guiding him through the discomfort and monotony of hospital life. Each day he marked off on the calendar brought him one step closer to reuniting with his furry friend. The doctors had told him to take it easy, but he couldn't help but daydream about their first moments together after his return. What would it be like to see Max's wagging tail and bright eyes? Officer James could almost picture it, the way Max would leap with joy when he realized his owner was finally back. The thought alone brought a smile to his face, lighting up the otherwise sterile room. As the days passed, Officer James began to focus on the small milestones in his recovery. With each physical therapy session, he felt stronger and more determined to get back home. Every time he moved his leg, he imagined playing fetch with Max at the park again. He pictured himself standing in the backyard tossing a ball as Max sprinted after it with uncontainable enthusiasm. Those images fueled his resolve to heal quickly. On the evening before his discharge from the hospital, Officer James lay in bed, unable to sleep due to anticipation. He closed his eyes and let memories flood back, of walking through neighbourhoods together, visiting schools and cuddling on the couch during quiet evenings. He could hear Max's happy barks ringing in his ears, as if encouraging him to hurry up and get better. "Just one more day," he whispered into the darkness of his room, longing for that moment when he would walk through the front door and see Max rushing toward him. He envisioned their reunion. Max would probably jump up with joy, licking Officer James's face in excited greeting while trying to wag his tail at lightning speed. The thought melted away any lingering fears about how much time had passed since they last saw each other. Finally, the next morning arrived. Officer James dressed slowly but purposefully in his uniform for the first time since surgery. With each button he fastened, butterflies danced in his stomach at the thought of going home. Once cleared by the doctor, he gathered his belongings and made sure everything was in order before heading toward the exit. As he stepped outside into the fresh air, a sense of freedom washed over him. He was finally going home. The drive felt exhilarating. Every turn brought him closer to a reunion that filled him with warmth and happiness. Thoughts of all their past adventures flashed through his mind like a highlight reel, a mix of laughter-filled moments and quiet companionship. When Officer James pulled into his driveway and stepped out of the car, he paused for a moment. Taking a deep breath to steady himself, he opened the door and called out for Max. "I'm home!" His voice echoed through the house as anticipation surged within him. He took one step inside before hearing it, the unmistakable sound of paws skidding across the floor followed by joyful barking. His heart raced as Max came bounding into view, ready to welcome him back with all the love they had built over their years together. Officer James felt a rush of emotion wash over him as he realized that their bond had only grown stronger during their time apart. As Officer James made his way home, excitement swirled within him like leaves in the autumn breeze. The sun was shining brightly, creating a glow that felt almost magical as he pulled into his driveway. The familiar sight of his house brought back a flood of memories, but today it promised something even more special, a reunion with Max and his loved ones. The front door opened, and to his surprise the sounds of laughter and conversation filled the air, welcoming him before he even walked inside. His family and friends had gathered to celebrate his return, turning what could have been an ordinary homecoming into a joyful occasion. Colourful balloons floated in the entryway, and a banner reading "Welcome Home" hung proudly above. Officer James felt a warmth spread through him. He wasn't just returning home to Max, but invited into a circle of support and love. The scents wafting from the kitchen reminded him of family gatherings, freshly baked cookies mingled with the aroma of homemade pasta simmering on the stove. It instantly brought back feelings of comfort and belonging as he stepped inside. As he entered, smiles illuminated the faces around him, each filled with genuine happiness at seeing him back, healthy and ready to continue life outside the hospital walls. His sister quickly moved forward to envelop him in a gentle hug, holding on tightly as if afraid to let go. "I'm so glad you're home," she exclaimed. Her joy was infectious, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. In that room were not only family members but also friends from the neighbourhood who had witnessed Officer James's dedication over the years. Many had come by to show their support during his recovery, sending well wishes or helping out when they could. Their presence reinforced how cherished he was by those around him, making this moment even more meaningful. Yet amid the warm chatter and laughter, Officer James's heart raced in anticipation for one specific reunion, the moment with Max. He couldn't wait to see how his loyal companion would react to his return. As everyone continued chatting and catching up, a low whimper suddenly cut through the noise from further inside the house. "Max!" Officer James called out, instantly alert as hope surged within him. Everyone turned their heads toward the sound coming from another room, curious about Max's response. As if summoned by the very sound of his owner's voice, Max appeared at the end of the hallway, bounding toward them with uncontainable excitement. The sight was both heartwarming and overwhelming. Max looked bigger than ever, his golden fur gleaming under the soft light filling the room. His tail wagged furiously as he dashed forward, breaking through the crowd to leap into Officer James's arms. Laughter erupted from friends and family as Max showered Officer James with slobbery kisses, filling the air with joy. "Look who missed you!" someone shouted jokingly amidst the commotion. But no one could deny that this moment painted a picture of pure happiness and reunion. The room pulsed with joy as Officer James sank down into a crouch to embrace Max fully. It was as if time stood still. Nothing else mattered in that instant but their connection. Two souls reunited after what felt like an eternity apart. Family gathered around them in awe of this loving encounter, while laughter turned to joyous tears, the kind only true love can evoke. This was a setting that Officer James had yearned for during his recovery, a warm environment filled with those who cared about him, and an excited dog who could finally welcome him back home where they belonged together. As Officer James stood at the front door, he paused for a moment to take in everything around him. The familiar creak of the door sound echoed loudly in his ears as he pushed it open. A wave of emotions washed over him. Relief, happiness, and a sprinkle of nervousness surged within. This was not just any arrival. It marked the end of a challenging chapter and the beginning of a new one. His heart raced as he stepped inside, and he felt every eye in the room turn toward him. There was an instant silence, as if everyone collectively held their breath in anticipation. Officer James could feel the warmth of their gazes and the love radiating from each person. He took a deep breath, but it was slightly laboured, a reminder of the surgery still fresh in his body. Physically, he noticed changes that highlighted his journey over the past few weeks. His knee was still wrapped in a supportive bandage, and he moved with caution, using crutches to steady himself. While these reminders of his surgery made him feel vulnerable, he was determined not to let them dampen his spirits. Instead, they served as proof that he had fought through pain and uncertainty to get to this very moment. As he looked around, Officer James saw smiles breaking out across faces that meant so much to him. His sister's eyes sparkled with joy while his friends beamed with pride. But more than anything else, he longed for one specific greeting, the exuberant welcome from Max, who had been waiting for this day just as eagerly. "Max!" he called out, his voice filled with both excitement and urgency. It felt good to say his dog's name again, and it echoed in the hallway like music. The sound seemed to spark something within Max because almost instantly there was a flurry of activity from further inside the house. The joyous barks, followed by the rapid thumping of paws against hardwood floors, signaled that Max had heard him. In that moment, Officer James felt an overwhelming surge of love and anticipation wash over him. The connection they shared was palpable. It transcended words and filled the entire space. As Max appeared at last, bounding into view with his tail wagging furiously behind him, Officer James couldn't help but chuckle despite the discomfort in his knee. The sight of his loyal companion, bigger than he remembered but just as enthusiastic, pulled at his heartstrings. Max's golden fur seemed to shimmer under the soft lighting of the living room as he dashed forward. In an instant that felt like it lasted forever, Max leaped into Officer James's arms, showering him with joyful licks that splashed across his face. Laughter erupted from their family and friends surrounding them. It was a moment filled with pure joy where nothing else mattered but their bond, a bond strengthened by time apart. Officer James sank down onto one knee despite the ache from his leg to fully embrace Max, who was practically dancing with excitement at being reunited. All thoughts of discomfort faded away as he buried his face in Max's warm fur, feeling comforted by the familiar scent that reminded him of all their adventures together. This reunion marked more than just a homecoming. It symbolized resilience and love conquering all challenges. The warmth of family enveloped them like a cozy blanket, while laughter echoed through the air. A celebration not only of healing but also of enduring companionship between an officer and his beloved dog. As Officer James took his first few steps inside, the atmosphere was alive with excitement and warmth, but Max's reaction was more subdued. The loyal golden retriever stood at the edge of the living room, his tail wagging hesitantly, ears perked up in curiosity. Max sensed something was different about this return. The familiar scent of Officer James was mixed with the faint smell of antiseptic and hospital, creating an unusual combination that made him pause. Max tilted his head slightly to the side, a gesture that seemed to reflect his confusion. He had been eagerly awaiting this moment for weeks, but now, as he observed his owner moving carefully on crutches, he could tell something had changed. Officer James's movement was slower and more cautious than usual. It was as if Max could sense the physical reminders of the surgery, the bandage on Officer James's knee, and the slight wince when he adjusted his weight. For a moment, Max stood still, watching intently. His big brown eyes conveyed a mix of concern and affection as he tried to process what he was seeing. This wasn't just his owner returning home. It was a new version of Officer James who had gone through something significant while away. The connection between them had always been strong, and now Max seemed to be gauging how this change would affect their bond. With each passing second, Officer James called out to Max again, his voice filled with warmth and familiarity. "Come here, buddy," he encouraged. It was a command that usually sent Max sprinting with joy into his arms, but today it drew only cautious steps from the dog. Tentatively, Max approached slowly, lowering his head as he sniffed at Officer James's legs. The playful energy that usually characterized their reunions felt muted as Max took in the sight before him. The crutches supporting Officer James, the bandaged knee, everything seemed to hold a new weight. In that moment of hesitation, Max appeared almost vulnerable himself. Officer James knelt down carefully, a deliberate move meant to reassure Max that everything would be okay. "It's me," he said softly while reaching out with one hand to pet him gently on the head. As soon as their eyes met again, something shifted in Max's demeanour. Recognition sparked back into life like a flame, igniting after being smothered. Realizing that it truly was his beloved officer standing before him, though changed by circumstance, Max's tail began to wag vigorously again. The confusion faded like morning mist under sunlight as joy took its place. With newfound excitement flooding back into him, Max bounded forward in one swift motion. In an instant, it was as if all concerns evaporated from the air around them. The uncertainty about Officer James transformed into pure delight as Max leaped toward him with exuberance that could only come from a dog who had missed his best friend deeply. He jumped up to greet him fully. Laughter erupted from friends and family who witnessed this heartfelt reunion. The room filled with happiness as laughter mixed with joyful barks echoed off the walls. The bond between them only grew stronger despite any changes time brought along during those weeks apart. This reunion wasn't just a return, It marked a new chapter where love and loyalty triumphed over uncertainty. And in that moment of embrace between officer and dog, all doubts vanished into thin air, replaced by sheer joy and unconditional love. As Max leaped into Officer James's embrace, the atmosphere in the living room shifted from one of cautious excitement to overwhelming joy. The moment their eyes met, everything seemed to fade away. The surrounding laughter, the warm lights, and even the slight ache in James's knee felt distant as they shared this much-anticipated reunion. For a few seconds, it was as if time had stopped. Max's eyes sparkled with recognition and pure delight, and his tail wagged, furiously, knocking over a nearby chair as he tried to express his happiness. The dog let out an excited yip before showering Officer James with sloppy kisses that left the officer laughing and smiling, despite the little tenderness in his knee. Witnessing this heartwarming moment stirred deep emotions within everyone present. Friends and family who had gathered around could hardly contain their tears of joy. The love shared between the officer and his faithful companion was palpable. It wasn't just a pet welcoming his owner back. It was a celebration of loyalty and unconditional love that transcended words. The room filled with cheers and laughter as Max bounced around them both, woven tightly into their joyful reunion. It was clear that Max wasn't merely happy. He was relieved. He circled Officer James playfully before finally settling down right next to him, resting his head on James's knee as though reassuring himself that his owner had truly returned. Officer James knelt down slowly, mindful of his recovery, and wrapped his arms around Max. "I missed you too, buddy," he whispered softly into the golden fur that had always been a source of comfort. In that gentle embrace, both man and dog seemed to understand what this reunion meant. It wasn't just about being together again. It represented triumph over adversity. Family members nearby couldn't help but wipe away tears, moved by the bond they witnessed. They exchanged glances filled with understanding, a recognition of how love could heal wounds, both physical and emotional. Each heartbeat seemed to synchronize with the joy radiating from Max, who was now leaning against Officer James as if saying, "You're home for good now." The noise of joyful barks mixed harmoniously with laughter, creating a melody that echoed throughout the room. Children watched wide-eyed in awe as their parents hugged and laughed together. Everyone felt connected by this moment of love and relief, knowing how hard both Officer James and Max had been waiting for this day. Max's exuberance knew no bounds. He grabbed a nearby toy, a well-loved squeaky ball, from under the couch and presented it with a proud bark. It was clear he wanted nothing more than to play like they used to return to their routine of adventures in the park. Officer James chuckled at this familiar sight. It was a simple act that required no words, but spoke volumes about their enduring friendship. Finally, after embracing Max once again, Officer James leaned back against the couch with his furry companion beside him, basking in the warmth of love that filled the room. The worries about surgery faded into the background as he realized that this moment was a turning point, one that would propel them both toward new adventures ahead, stronger than ever together. This reunion served as a reminder that love could conquer all challenges, bringing renewed hope and joy to their lives. As Officer James and Max revelled in their joyful reunion, the room filled with a symphony of emotional reactions from family and friends who had gathered to witness this heartfelt moment. Each person present felt the weight of the occasion. They had all anxiously awaited this day just as much as James and Max had. Laughter erupted alongside tears of joy as friends exchanged glances, their hearts swelling with happiness at the sight of the beloved officer reunited with his faithful companion. James's sister, standing nearby, was the first to react. She clapped her hands together in glee, wiping away tears that had blurred her vision. "Look at them," she exclaimed, her voice a blend of excitement and disbelief. "This is more beautiful than I imagined." The warmth of the reunion resonated deeply in everyone's hearts. Friends and family who had supported Officer James during his recovery couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and delight. They had seen him struggle with pain and uncertainty, and now witnessing this moment made all those worries seem trivial. The bond between officer and dog was extraordinary, and it reminded them that love has the power to heal and uplift. Max continued to bounce around with uncontainable joy, his wagging tail knocking over decorations while he licked Officer James's face. The sight elicited gasps and giggles from children who had gathered to watch. They were mesmerized by the happy reunion, eyes wide with delight as they tried to absorb the scene unfolding before them. Meanwhile, a group of Officer James's closest friends stood huddled together, some chuckling softly while others wiped away tears. "I knew Max would be excited, but this is beyond anything I expected," one friend remarked, shaking his head in astonishment. It was clear that they were witnessing something special, an exuberant display of love that transcended words. As the laughter filled the room, those watching couldn't help but reflect on their own connections with their pets. It was a reminder of what it meant to have a loyal companion by your side through thick and thin. The moving spectacle highlighted how animals have an innate ability to sense emotions, offering comfort during tough times. The joy seemed contagious. Even those initially reserved began to smile broadly as Max continued to press against Officer James, urging him to play. "This is incredible," another friend said softly, blinking back tears as he watched the touching bond unfold right before his eyes. The emotional weight of the reunion never lost its impact. It was an affirmation of the love that had only grown stronger during their time apart. As Max finally settled down next to Officer James, panting happily with his tongue hanging out, a collective sigh swept through the gathering. Everyone felt a wave of warmth wash over them at the sight, a heartwarming scene of comfort and unconditional love. It was clear that Officer James's return home was not just about reconnecting with Max, but also about embracing all that love could accomplish. In that moment, surrounded by family and friends celebrating this joyful reunion, tears transformed into laughter once again, as they began to share stories of their own experiences with Max. Each tale served as a reminder of how powerful these connections can be, strengthening bonds not only between humans and dogs, but also among everyone united by love and friendship in that very room. As the joyful reunion continued, a comforting warmth enveloped Officer James, reminding everyone present of a truth that resonated deeply. Pets possess an extraordinary healing power. This moment served as a testament to how they can profoundly impact our lives, especially in challenging times. Reflecting on his recent experience, Officer James considered how Max had always been more than just a pet. He was a source of comfort and unconditional love. Their companionship offered solace during some of his loneliest moments, whether he faced stressful days at work or simply needed a lift after long hours. It was in these quiet instances where Max seemed to sense James's emotions, offering his warm body as a gentle reminder that he was never truly alone. Now, surrounded by family and friends who shared their own stories about the comfort pets provide during tough times, it was evident that this bond transcended just one relationship. Everyone had their own experiences with animals, stories of purring cats curling up beside them when feeling down, playful dogs encouraging them to step outside and breathe fresh air, or even birds singing melodies that brought peace to chaotic days. These recollections flooded the room with an atmosphere rich in empathy and understanding. Everyone nodded in agreement, recognizing how much joy animals can bring amidst life's challenges. The laughter still echoed from earlier as children played with Max's favourite toy, a squeaky ball they had kept safe while Officer James was away. They watched him excitedly dart from one person to another, reminding each adult present how simple moments spent with beloved pets could brighten even the darkest days. The children instinctively understood this bond. Each wag of Max's tail mirrored their own innocent joy. Officer James recalled a particular day leading up to his surgery when uncertainty loomed heavily over him. He found solace in taking long walks with Max in the park, breathing in the fresh air while his loyal companion chased after leaves dancing in the wind. During those moments, it felt like all those worries faded away. Walking alongside Max provided a simple yet powerful escape that allowed him to focus on something beyond himself. His thoughts shifted back to the present moment. The way Max rested comfortably beside him now seemed emblematic of what true companionship means. As Officer James stroked Max's fur gently, a wave of relief washed over him once more. He knew they had overcome challenges together, and that their bond had only strengthened through adversity. This gathering served as a reminder that healing doesn't always come from within. It can also stem from those we choose to love unconditionally. As more guests offered hugs and joined in conversations about their cherished pets, laughter filled the gaps where anxious thoughts once resided. It became clear that while Officer James's knee may heal physically over time, the emotional support provided by Max would continue nourishing both man and dog for years to come. With every wag of Max's tail and delighted bark echoing through the room, everyone acknowledged a universal truth. Our furry companions have an undeniable magic, a power capable of uplifting spirits during difficult times. In this circle of love and warmth, everyone celebrated not only Officer James's recovery, but also embraced the ongoing happiness brought by acknowledging these special relationships between humans and their beloved pets. As the gathering began to wind down, Officer James took a moment to reflect on the profound experiences of the day. Surrounded by family and friends, and with Max comfortably resting by his side, he was filled with gratitude. This reunion had been not only a celebration of recovery, but also a powerful reminder of the loyalty and love that existed between pets and their owners. Looking around the room, Officer James saw smiles, laughter, and even a few tears. Each person present carried their own stories, narratives woven with joy and heartache, much like his own. He understood that every individual there had felt the weight of life's struggles, but they also knew the unique comfort that a pet could provide. It was this shared understanding that deepened connections among them. They all recognized how love could transcend difficult circumstances and fortify their spirits. Max stirred at Officer James's side, lifting his head as if sensing his owner's reflection. Officer James reached down to stroke his fur gently, feeling the warmth beneath his palm. In that simple touch he acknowledged their bond, a connection that went beyond words. Max had been there through thick and thin, ready to celebrate happy moments while also offering silent support during times of struggle. It was in those quiet instances when Max seemed to intuitively sense Officer James's feelings, showing just how vital this relationship had become. Their journey together was one filled with adventures, but also marked by challenges. As Officer James faced surgery and the uncertainty it brought, Max remained a source of steadiness, a constant reminder that no matter what happened, he wouldn't have to face it alone. This loyalty resonated deeply within him as he thought about how pets often serve as anchors in turbulent times. Reflecting on his life thus far, Officer James realized that the lessons learned from Max extended far beyond the boundaries of companionship. They were about resilience and love that could weather any storm. With each wag of Max's tail or gentle nudge with his nose, Officer James was reminded of the importance of being present, not only for himself, but for those he loved. As laughter echoed around him once more, it became clear that this gathering was not just about celebrating his physical recovery. It was about recognizing how these relationships, between humans and their beloved animals, could heal wounds both seen and unseen. The emotional support provided by pets creates an unbreakable bond that enriches lives in countless ways. "Thank you all for being here," Officer James finally spoke up, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Today has reminded me how important our connections are, not just to each other, but also to our furry companions who love us unconditionally." His words resonated throughout the room as he gestured toward Max, who responded with a joyful bark. In that moment, everyone understood. Love is powerful and transformative. It fills lives with purpose and joy while fostering resilience in difficult times. With hugs exchanged and smiles exchanged among guests, they celebrated not only Officer James's recovery, but also the enduring loyalty and love shared between pets and their owners. As everyone began to leave, each person carried with them a renewed sense of hope, a reminder that no matter what life brings, those bonds formed through love would always guide them through future challenges. The day closed on a beautiful note, echoing the undeniable truth. Pets are not just animals. They are beloved members of our families who enrich our lives in more ways than we can ever express.